All right, well, today was your very first day driving on a freeway, one of you, and it was kind of a scary thing for me, but actually you did pretty good. It was scary because it's just scary, but I think you handled it really well. But when you were driving, one of the something occurred to me I learned a long time ago when when the both of you were in Aikido class with me, and we had an instructor who not the head instructor, but he was like a one down instructor, and he constantly corrected people, and it was like every time somebody did a move, he would correct them. They would do the move and he would correct them. And I don't think he's with them anymore. I spoke to the head instructor, and he said that there was an issue with his teacher, and I kind of knew that right away, because he didn't know a certain principle that is inherent in almost all things. And I'm going to call it muscle memory, because it's not really muscle memory, but it's the same principle. So when you learn to play tennis, for instance, and I know one of you did, the first time you hit the ball, it either goes like way far away or it doesn't go anywhere. You're hitting a tennis ball with a tennis racket the first time or the first few times is very disconcerting, because it's like you try and you have to get the racket just at the right angle, and the power just at the right angle, and the follow through just at the right angle. And there's all these little nuances to it. So you have to do it over and over. Now, if somebody was sitting there every time you swung the racket and said, no, you have to do it this way, no, you have to do it this way, it becomes very difficult, because you're trying to consume the information they're giving you. But what you're not getting is the chance to repeat it, practice, drilling. And that is so important, because it's not just the mental part of things that you need to know. There's the practice part. That's the part that makes you good. And eventually you hit a tennis ball so many times, you don't have to think about it anymore. You just tell it where to go, and your body takes care of the rest. You don't have to worry about the angle of your wrist, the swing of your arm, the power, all that stuff. You do it enough times and your body just gets it. Your muscles remember the act. So now you just say, I want the ball to go over there, and the ball goes there. And so that's kind of the same thing with pretty much anything in life. With Aikido or any martial arts, it was the same thing. You have to do it over and over and over. If somebody corrects you too often, you have to try to absorb what they're saying. You're not able to focus on the little nuances of, you did it this way this time, this way that time. And it's the same with driving. When you do your turns and you do your slowdowns, I don't correct you every time, because I know that you can feel what a bad turn is. When you're like, I know that that's not a good turn. And it's not going to help for me to say, well, that was a bad turn. You already know. You know the feeling. So it's just a matter of you doing it over and over and over again. And eventually your muscles will get that feeling of how to do a smooth turn. And same with slowing down. You'll feel that slow down. You'll stop doing one of these when you slow down. And your body gets it. But my point is that there's a certain amount of patience that you have to have with people who are learning. And this is everybody. Now, I called it muscle memory because it's muscles. And I don't know the word, and I don't want to look it up right now. But there's that same principle for life. There's spiritual memory and emotional memory and psychological, well, I don't mean psychological memory like memory, remembering things. But there is, when you go through something, And a lot of people, and I see adults make this mistake too. It's like they go through something one time, and I'm not talking about some, traumatic thing. I'm not talking about that. I mean something simple, small, just the everyday thing. You don't really get used to car accidents. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the equivalent of stopping your vehicle in life, or the equivalent of turning your car in life. Things like, how do you interact with people when somebody comes up to you who you're not very sure about? How do you interact with them? I'm not talking about getting attacked, but just the interactions or the emotional problems. How many times have you been sad in your life? Now, everybody's been sad a lot, but things either happen to you and you just let them and you react to it, or things happen to you and you can go through it intently, with intention, with a goal to get through it and succeed on the other side. You can't stop bad things from happening, and you can't stop bad things from happening to you, but you can change how you go through it. And a lot of people will take one situation and they will assign all of life to that one situation, where they may have gone through something bad. Maybe they were late on a car payment, got dinged, or let's say even worse, a credit card payment got dinged, and that fee dinged them more because it put them over their limit. We lost the house in the tornado, so you girls know that there's a lot worse things than that. And if you can survive that, everything else is just freaking cake. It's just cake. But it's how you deal with it. And they look at that one situation like life is ending. But it isn't. And I know I'm really doing a roundabout on this one, but follow me here. What I don't see a lot of people do is understanding that life itself is like playing tennis. You can't just do one thing one time, break up with a boyfriend one time, and that's it. That's the end all be all of it. They're all like that. How many times did you have to hit that tennis ball to actually get to the point where you can just hit it and it goes and you don't think about it anymore? You have to hit it quite a few times. I mean, a lot of times. Or in Aikido, how many times did you girls have to fall before you actually learned how to not hurt yourself, to actually do a really good roll? You have to do it a whole bunch of times. But then people get to life, they break up with one boyfriend, and oh my God, that's it. That's the worst, and it'll never get better. And I mean, they just assign. Does that make sense? I know I'm a little bit vague here. It's like going to Aikido, rolling the very first time you do a roll, ending up on your ass with your legs spread out on the floor and saying, oh my God, that's it, I quit, I'll never do this again. And it's like, really? Or playing tennis, and your very first time you swing a tennis racket and you hit a tennis ball and it just freaking flies out of the court. And you say, I'm not going to play tennis ever again. This is horrible. And that's silly. But unfortunately, that's how people deal with life. They do it one time, or 5 times, or 10 times, and that's like, oh my God, this is horrible. But people don't, for some reason, get that you have to do it over and over to be good at it. To be good at it. People aren't just good just because they want to be. Will does not give you proficiency. Will gives you the ability, the drive to become proficient. But people, for some reason, expect life to be this perfect game of tennis that they've never played before. And so I guess my point is that you need to have patience with yourself. You're going to make mistakes, and you have to keep doing it. This isn't a matter of get up and try again. It's stupid to play tennis the very first time, grab a racket, hit the ball goes off somewhere weird, and you just say, I give up, I'm not going to play this again. There are very few things in life that truly are stupid. That is, because it's a choice. I think, yeah. Anyways, so just have patience. Patience with yourself when you make your mistakes. Patience that you didn't get something perfect or even right the very first time or the 10th time. It's not a matter of having patience the first time. Patience takes you through the 20th time and the 30th time, because you're not going to get it right away. And I'll probably talk about this in another video, but most importantly, when you're in that position of being the instructor, when you are instructing somebody else, let's say like one of your children, you have to have the same amount of patience. Because if you constantly criticize them and constantly try to correct them and instruct them, they're not going to get the chance to make the mistake, realize it was a mistake, try to change and do it again. They have to learn to connect the dots for themselves. People have to learn to connect the dots for themselves, and it takes time. If you've ever played the little connect the dots game, I mean, most of the easy ones, it's like, zip, 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 zip. But when you get like 50 or 60 numbers, you have to stop and look where the next one is. You have to connect them. It's not just a matter of putting your pencil on the paper and just going. It takes a second. Where's the next number? And you have to look. It takes time to connect the dots sometimes. And so just have patience, because that's what it's about. Connecting the dots enough times in a certain thing that it just becomes second nature to you. And then if you still suck, that's on you. But anyways, yeah, that was a long one. Sorry. What can I do? You know me. Love you guys. Bye.